Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving into a topic that's been making waves in both South Africa and the United States, the 2024 U.S. State Department Human Rights Report on South Africa. This report has stirred up quite a bit of controversy, with the South African government dismissing it as deeply flawed and inaccurate. But what's really going on here? Let's unpack this complex issue and see what all the fuss is about. South Africa, the 2024 U.S. Human Rights Report, what's in it? Released under President Donald Trump's administration, the 2024 U.S. State Department Human Rights Report paints a concerning picture of South Africa's human rights landscape. The report claims that the situation has significantly worsened over the past year, highlighting several key issues. Land Expropriation Act. The report criticizes South Africa's Expropriation Act, which allows for the expropriation of land without compensation in certain circumstances. It argues that this policy disproportionately affects white Afrikaner farmers, labeling it as discriminatory. Police impunity. Concerns are raised about the lack of accountability for police officers involved in extrajudicial killings and other human rights abuses. Rise in antisemitism. The report notes an increase in anti-Semitic incidents, including hate speech and attacks on Jewish individuals and institutions. Discrimination against minorities. It also points to reports of discrimination against various racial and ethnic minorities, including the Afrikaner community. United States U.S. actions and reactions. In response to these findings, the Trump administration has taken several actions. Executive Order on Refugee Status. An executive order was signed, facilitating the granting of refugee status to white South Africans, particularly Afrikaners, who claim to be victims of racial discrimination. Suspension of financial aid. The U.S. has suspended financial aid to South Africa, citing concerns over human rights abuses and the Expropriation Act. Imposition of tariffs. Tariffs have been imposed on South African exports, further straining economic relations between the two countries. These actions have led to a significant diplomatic rift, with tensions escalating over issues such as the Israel-Hamas conflict and differing approaches to international human rights standards. South Africa's response. Naturally, South Africa has vehemently rejected the U.S. report. The South African government describes it as deeply flawed and inaccurate, arguing that it fails to reflect the country's constitutional democracy and the progress made in addressing historical injustices. Key points in their response include: land reform justification. The government defends the Expropriation Act as a necessary step to rectify the racial inequalities in land ownership that persist since the apartheid era. Constitutional integrity. Emphasis is placed on the fact that the land reform policies are in line with the South African Constitution, which aims to promote equality and justice. Critique of U.S. human rights record. South Africa points to the United States' own human rights issues, such as the treatment of refugees and the withdrawal from the UN Human Rights Council, suggesting a double standard in the U.S.'s approach to global human rights advocacy. Magnifying glass tilted left a closer look at the Expropriation Act. The Expropriation Act has been a focal point of contention. Signed into law in January 2025, it allows for the expropriation of land without compensation in certain circumstances, aiming to address the historical injustices of land dispossession during apartheid. While the government views this as a necessary step towards equity, critics argue that it could lead to economic instability and legal uncertainties. Thinking faced the bigger picture. This dispute between South Africa and the United States is more than just a diplomatic spat, it's a reflection of broader global tensions over human rights, land reform, and racial justice. The differing perspectives highlight the complexities involved in addressing historical wrongs and the challenges of balancing national sovereignty with international human rights standards. Loudspeaker, your thoughts. We'd love to hear your perspective on this issue. Do you think the U.S. report accurately reflects the human rights situation in South Africa, or is it an overstatement? How do you view the Expropriation Act and its potential impact on the country? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get the conversation started. And if you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more in-depth analyses on global political issues. See you next time.